George Gyan Baffour. He's the MP for Wenchi and is also the Minister for Planning. Chief, good morning, Prof, and thank you very much for your time. Grateful to have you. Yesterday was the Mpuntuo budget as it was put out there. The theme was a stronger economy for jobs and prosperity. Yeah. The other side say they can't see any of what you are talking about because they have seen Asempa, they have seen a Juma budget, they have seen now a Mpuntuo budget, and they can't see this economy grow stronger, they can't see the jobs, they can't see prosperity. It's more like a quagmire to them. What do you say, Prof?
Let me first of all say that, you know, societies that are multi-party in nature usually have two governing parties that really shift from one end to the other. And most of the times, you know, there is, just as in nature where things come in pairs. Okay. The eyes are in pairs, man and a woman and all that. When you look at the hen that has some chicks behind her, you know, she has two legs. Right. And when he's trying to feed them, one leg tries to mess up the thing, then the other one brings it back so that they can pick the things in them. That is how our economy, our society is built. Okay. There are two parties running this country. One party comes in and makes up the mess. Then the other party comes in and then tries to do that.
What's the MPP?
Yeah. Let me tell you why MPP is the one that comes to fix it.
Okay, so NDC messes it up.
It messes it up.
MPP fixes it.
MPP fixes it. If you look at 2000 when, and then 2001 when the MPP came in, the economy was so bad that it was growing at about 3.7%. Okay. Fast track it to 2008, it was about 8.4%. The NDC came in to fix it. The MPP came in to fix it from 3.7 to 8.4. They left. Then in 2009, they started destroying it again, and by the time that they left, it had gone back curiously at the same point, 3.7% of the GDP. Then the oil came in there, it went to 14% somewhere about in 2011. And from there, it was a sliding again to 3.7. 2016, that was how much the economy grew, 3.7%. Then the MPP came back. And then in 2017, it went up to 8.5%. 2018 is gone up again. You know, so that is how the trend has been. So the destruction comes in, then the correction comes in. The destruction comes in.
What does this mean for the ordinary Ghanaian, as they always put it?
What it means to the ordinary Ghanaian is that, you know, I mean, when the MPP is in power and the economy gradually flourishes, gradually, people take it for granted that, oh, that is how it should be. So anybody at all can do it. So Mukwaba, Moko, whatever they say.
Mukwaba ni Mukwaya.
Yeah. Then we go back, and then they start, and then the destruction begins. So what I'm telling the public is that they must be very careful about the way these arguments come in. But let me also tell you, let me show you, apart from the fact that from 2016, the 3.7% GDP growth rate went down to, came up to 8.5 under us in 2017, and it's up. Similarly, the inflation rate, the prices of goods and services, prices went up to about 15.4% by 2016.
It hasn't changed.
It is the inflation ended at 9.5 in October this year.
But prices haven't gone down. It hasn't changed.
The rate of change of prices is what we are referring to.
Right.
What it means is that, but for the fact that, you know, the government had not changed, the prices that we will have witnessed now will be higher than what we have currently. It doesn't mean that if it is 9.5, it means that it's in a stagnant. No. But the rate at which it will have gone up will have been higher than what we have.
So you say we're in a better place now?
A better place now in terms of prices.
But the people say they can't feel this better place that you're talking about.
That is why I'm saying that when people are when we are in power, people take things for granted. They think that, oh, it is okay.
Let's talk about fuel, for example. The argument is that it's struck up so many times this year alone, or since you took over, and that is unacceptable. What do you say?
You see, one thing that we should all understand is that the government doesn't determine the price of fuel in this country. It is done by, it is deregulated.
Right.
What the government only does is about takes the taxes. That is where we can reduce the taxes. And we've reduced the taxes from the 40% that it used to be under NDC to lower than 20%, around 20%.
Some say take the taxes off.
Some say
pushing the people.
You see, it is true. You can keep all the taxes away, but the fundamental problem is not even about the taxes. Okay. The fundamental problem is about the structure of the economy itself. The fundamental problem is about the exchange rate.
Okay.
When the exchange rate gets out of hand, all these taxes become just minuscule. But the reason why it is the exchange rate can get out of hand is that, you know, we are importing more and exporting less. All the things that we are importing are becoming more expensive. Things that we are exporting, the prices are stagnant.
We spoke about planting for food and jobs in the Ejuma budget, for example. We have not seen a complete realization of that policy, have we?
We haven't. I mean, it's ongoing. But the point is that, you know, we are trying to find a way to ensure that the planting for food, the excess food that they produce, crops that they produce, can be used by the Ministry of Industries to actually do the one district, one factory. Right. That is what we are trying to do now. We are synchronizing it. Okay. So if we are able to do that, to reduce the level of imports and or increase the level of export, you see that the cedi-dollar relationship.
Fantastic plan. 2 years gone already. When are we to see a fruition of this synergy? When are we to see it kickstart?
That is why we are saying this budget is Mpuntuo budget. Okay. But you see, look, things have been kept for almost 50 years since we came in. Okay. 2 years is not enough to turn those things around very quickly as a structural. If there's a structural defect in the economy, it's a structure. It is not, for instance, just by fiat. You can just make a law that change it tomorrow and it changes. You are putting up a factory. And when people even say this is one factory, they haven't seen it. You can't build a factory in 6 months or even in 2 years and expect the results to come out immediately. Look, you have to find a place where you're putting the factory up. You have to construct the building. You have to bring in the machinery to do that. You have to arrange for the raw materials. These things don't come overnight.
But so Prof, there seems to be some confusion. You hear how Akumsin say that, well, the factories are ready to go on stream. John Kumar says 17 of them have been okayed and ready to get on. Alan Chamantin says this. Everybody seems to be picking at one point, and the people are asking, so where are the factories?
The people are picking at it. Maybe the choice of words is what is really confusing people, right? But all of them are saying that is in the process of being getting the factory done. Okay. But none of them has said that the factory has started production. Okay. None of them has said that. But the processes and the ways that they use is what is really.
So where are we now?
Some of them have been, they have started construction. Okay. Some of them, they are now in the process of maybe even getting the resources, the money. Okay. Some of them are at a very advanced stage, but they haven't started operation. Okay. But you see, look, when you start with a process like that, if it is a good process, the outcome will be good. Okay. Nothing can stop it. You have to start it. Right. But you wouldn't expect that within a week or two, a factory will spring up.
The road sector, you know, that leads to farming communities, for example, has come under our telescope or our microscope. And most of the roads that leads to these food baskets are not good. Yes. I didn't hear much of it in this budget. The access roads to the farms. In your own Wenchi, for example.
In my own Wenchi, you see, there was nothing here about roads in Wenchi. But when you go to Wenchi now, they are constructing the roads in town. The budget usually is something about the future. Okay. It's not about what is going on right now. You know, so if you don't see Wenchi in it, it is not the case that when
but if you look at the full budget statement, Prof, the finance minister starts it off telling you some of the achievements. He chooses some of the achievements that have been done and sets it as a prelude to the main budget. Why, if we're constructing roads and it's going to help one district, one factory, planting for food and jobs. Why don't we mention it? Because it's a major achievement then.
Well, yeah, it may be a major, it is a major achievement, but you know, he has only a whole, just a small document like this to present what is going on in this country. If he has to, if yesterday when he was talking up with this one, people were just saying that it's too long, it's too this. You cannot tell, you cannot see everything that is going on in the country in a budget.
70-something million, 73.4 billion. That's what we intend to spend in 2019. Do we have all the money? Where are we getting it? How much of it is donor funding, or are we sourcing from outside?
You know, the deficit is going to be about 4.2% of GDP. Okay. And our GDP is about 40 billion. So the deficit will be about maybe 1% of it is 4 billion or something like that. But so a lot of it, a chunk of it is from local sources. Okay. A little bit of it is from borrowing. Okay. And so, and of course, some of them may be from donors that will probably give us are not actually loans. So it's a mixture of all that. Okay. But yes, a chunk of our budget is usually from domestic revenue.
Do we know the figures, the percentages? Ghana Beyond Aid on my mind.
In fact, I would say that maybe about over 70% of our budget is actually funded from local sources. Okay. More than that. The loans that we collect aren't that great. They are not very much. You see, even the aid that we get, and while people are worried about Ghana Beyond Aid, the aid that we get from the donor community is minuscule. You know, it is not some, but they give you conditions
to abide by.
So in relation to maybe the resources that you have, the resource envelope, your local resources may far more exceed what they give to you, but they give you some. When the World IMF gives you money, maybe $160 million or something like that, and they tell you that you cannot do this, you cannot do that, you cannot do that. And this $160 million, it's just a small amount compared with what we have. Right. So that is what the president...
Are we leaving the IMF?
Certainly, yes, by the end of the month, the year, we will be out of
we'll
IMF.
Leave them.
Yes.
Prof, let's talk about taxation. The people say you are taxing them multiply, and perhaps all the tax bills have remained, apart from the 30% of 10,000 Ghana cedis NS, and now it's been moved to 20 Ghana cedis NS. They say, apart from that, everything else on the stream of taxes have remained. Is that the case?
Everything else has remained. Nothing has been increased. Did they say that
yes.
too? So taxes are not necessarily, or you have taxes and each budget cycle, you're saying you're reducing them. If you reduce all the nuisance taxes over the years, I mean, what again do you do?
The ones that exist now, for example, the telcos are passing on some of the taxes to you, and they say, well, it's too much burden for us, multiple taxation, we can't take it anymore. Spread the tax net, really, and stop just saying it.
Yes, we are spreading the tax net. First of all, when you want to tax people, you have to know where they are. Okay. And in this country, a lot of people, where they are, we don't even know, because we don't have the IDs and all that. So we are getting these IDs, people's identification, and that will help us to locate some of them. We are trying to look at addresses where we can locate certain operations. So we are finding a way of broadening the tax base. We are looking at other companies, mining companies and all that, in terms of how much they pay to government checks and all that, you know, to broaden it. But the point is that, you know, you cannot always be saying that every tax period reduce the tax for some.
That's unrealistic?
It doesn't. So, and at the same time, too, you want, I mean, the government to really invest in certain areas. So you're saying reduce taxes, but build roads.
The widening the tax net thing has become a big thing. Do we have timelines for it? Just trying to find where the people are, national ID, getting their data, everything?
We have the timeline. The national ID that we rolled it out, and we are seeing that by the end of the year, we should be able to, by the end of next year, it should be over. Okay. So we will be able to identify a lot of people and then find a way. But you see, it's not that you really want to put so much pressure on people just to take their money. We are also looking at property taxes. You know, when you go to areas in the country, very rich area, people live in those areas, the property tax that they pay there, you marvel. You know, it's so ridiculous. They don't even go there to collect the taxes.
Okay.
That is why he mentioned somewhere along the line that in the NAPCO, there are about 10,000 students.
100,000.
No. Out of the 100,000, 10,000
right,
is going to help in collection of.
The revenue Ghana.
Yes,
that's
revenue Ghana. You know,
Prof,
so that will help us, you know, to be able to go around and collect these taxes. These.
In fact, I had a conversation with Mr. Kofi Nti of the Ghana Revenue Authority, and he mentioned to me this initiative. So I'm hoping that it will come to pass. But Prof, let's talk about infrastructural development. Your party wants to go heavy in 2019, railroads and all the issues in between. Key among that will be the National Cathedral, which is an infrastructure, for example. And the earlier conversation was that we're not going to have any state funding in there. Yesterday, the finance minister said something contrary. Is that not a contradiction?
I didn't get it. What did he say about
Well,
that?
he said we were going to have some chunk of money given, we're going to provide the land and all of that. It will become a source of what do you call it? I've forgotten how I put it. A seed and all of that.
You see, whatever that we do in this country, we don't want government to be the one that actually leads we want the private sector to lead and government facilitate the process. And we haven't changed our position with regard to that when it comes to the churches. They will have to lead, we will facilitate. And the facilitation could be making available land, making available the infrastructure, the roads, as we were saying, to the factories. By the way, the factories that we were talking about, government was not going to build the factories, but the government had to make sure that there are roads leading to that. So similarly, what he was probably trying to address was that, you know, yes, the private, the churches will do that, but then the government will facilitate.
It comes back to the question of priority. The National Cathedral is key on your party's agenda. Is it a priority among priorities that the president put it?
How can I do? How can I say something contrary to what my president is saying?
The voices have been up against it. They think that we should not be having a national cathedral at this point, and we should be looking at, say, procuring more ambulances in a country that has only 52 ambulances. And by the way, yesterday I didn't hear any of that in the budget.
In the ambulances,
right?
I think you heard.
We had the hospital in the Ashanti region, 500 bed. And then we'll come and do the third part of the 37 military hospital.
Yeah, I think you heard the Minister for Special Initiative the day or two earlier had stated clearly that, you know, the ambulances, he has already made the procurement process is already going on. So that one, you know, the budget doesn't necessarily, it's forward-looking. Things that we've done or we are doing at times don't come.
You don't want to mention them. But let's talk about the priority among priorities, which is the National Cathedral. Some have kicked against it. They say, well, this is not what we need at this time, and it will not work for us. Why is the government still adamant in going for the National Cathedral?
You know, when we were trying to put up the Flagstaff House, the Jubilee House, there was the hue and cry in the country that we were not ready to have a seat of government. But then when we finished it, everybody felt that, oh, it was a great idea. So you see, look, we need to find some food to eat, but at the same time, too, we need to have a place to worship. We need to build schools, but we have to have a place for the presidency.
The Flagstaff House or the Jubilee House was sponsored by the Indians.
It was not sponsored by the Indians.
Was not?
It was sponsored by us, but then we took a loan from India.
Are we getting a loan to do the National Cathedral?
No, I don't think so.
We are not getting.
No. And the loan was about $30 million, but we spent almost about $70-something million in the Flagstaff House building, and the difference was all borne by the country. The $30 million was a very soft loan that we took from the Indians, and it was.
Prof, finally, your flagship program, Free SHS, we anticipate to spend some 3.3 billion in the coming year. Do we have the money?
Where there is the will, there is the way, right? We will have the money. You see, we will use a lot of the resources from the oil revenue to pay for the free SHS.
The oil revenue is supposed to get us some 5.4 billion. Is that correct? Now, the law that governs the use of our oil money is stated clearly how much we can use and how much we cannot use.
Yes.
If we anticipate to use 3.3 out of the 5.4, won't we be falling foul of the law?
I'm not saying that we use all of it for that, but what I'm saying is that, we use some money from the oil revenue to cushion up this, whatever that shortfall that we may have there. But you see, my preference, personally, will have been that, even we have to change that law to ensure that, you see, look, you don't go and put money in a bank somewhere for future use when your children cannot go to school. You understand what I mean? You don't put your money somewhere and say that, well, we are going to put it in a bank somewhere, and in fact 50 years down the road, we are going to, those who are coming behind us, will have money to do whatever they want to do. Meanwhile, these children that you are actually saving the money for can't go to school. You want to destroy them right now?
Professor Ite says, let's segment it. The rich people like you, like those in government,
I look very rich.
should pay for their awards and their dependents to go to school. And we should not do a wholesale thing. Earlier, Finance Minister had made a similar suggestion.
I will agree with him. I will agree with him. But you see, there is also, it also has a complication around it. Now, if you say that every private people, rich people should pay for their awards, you cannot also at the same time say that, rich people's kids should not go to Achimota, but people who cannot afford should send their children there. Then the equity thing becomes a problem. Because if I'm paying for it, then I'll expect that whatever I take, he should go to the schools that I want him to go to. So that is also a problem that we need to resolve. But yes, I agree with him that we can use a means test to try and assess who should get the money or who shouldn't get the money. But then we need to find a way to resolve that complex situation that will arise.
Will government listen to the experts in terms of segmenting and doing targeting?
The government always listens to experts.
So next year, the new stream that will come will have segmented
No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, if the government is convinced enough that if you do that, it will not jeopardize the equity aspect of it, the government will listen. But for now, for me, I think a lot of people are coming with the ideas here and there. But the point is that you have to look at it very critically. It sounds very nice from the outside, but you have to delve into it and see what it is.
That's all time will allow us. I'm most grateful for your time. Professor George Gyan, baffour is the Minister for Planning of the Republic of Ghana. He's been here explaining some key points in a budget read yesterday, the 2019 budget, Mpuntuo budget, as we've called it. So he says there will be in Mpuntuo a lot of development and growth in 2019. Look forward to it.